Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my Week 10 Top 25 review. There was a lot of great games this week. I feel like all of these games lived up to the potential they could. And yeah, let's just get straight into it. Like, subscribe would help, a comment always helps. Sorry if I'm a little bit quieter. It is kind of late at night when I'm doing this, but let's go ahead and jump into things with Ohio State at Rutgers. I was really, really close to this one. I don't remember what I said in the sense, but the only thing I can assume I said was Rutgers were going to, stun people. They were going to play in a close one with Ohio State pulling away later because they're just a better team. That's exactly what happened. And Ohio State ended up getting shipped for it, which I don't think is necessarily deserved. I've been saying it a lot. Road games are killers right now, especially as we go later into the season. Every game gets more and more crucial. The road games are going to be very difficult, even if it's at Rutgers. I mean, Rutgers was 6-2 going into that game, so it did not surprise me that Ohio State did not hold this team to 3. It was completely expected by me. I felt like Rutgers were a little bit underrated, but yeah, they end up losing as expected in the sense, everything went as it should have. Purdue at Michigan. This one, I don't want to say that this one wasn't as much of a domination as we would have liked it to be, but it also can be said because, Michigan obviously has just been pounding the competition into the ground left and right. But, Purdue's 2-6, and it's still an absolute utter annihilation. Please do not get me wrong when I say this, but they let Purdue score 13 points and they only put up 41 in the process. I'm just saying it isn't like what they normally have been doing to some of these teams, like for instance Minnesota and whatnot. They've been absolutely clobbering some of these teams. It still is a clobbering, just not as much as it was. So I don't know if they just we're like, all right, we're done with this game or something. I don't really know. The game was won. Michigan still looks really, really solid, but that's the only takeaway I can take from this game is it wasn't as much of a domination. Michigan is finally going to play their first tough opponent. It's on the road at Penn State. Then they're on the road at Maryland, but that one's not going to be any more. That one's not dangerous anymore. And then they're playing Ohio State. So Michigan's got to make it through 2 games this year. Let's see if they can do it. Kansas State at Texas. Texas, again, without Quinn Ewers, gets stuck in a really close one that honestly should have been Kansas State's ball game. But this was my prediction. I said Kansas State was not going to be able to travel into Texas, even with their second string and whatnot. They weren't going to be able to do it. Texas Longhorns are a really solid team other than just their quarterback. But that proved not to be true as it got carried into overtime. This game really could have been Kansas State's. They fumbled the snap on an extra point, which actually let it be tied 27-27. Then they missed the field goal to tie or I think to go up 30-27 or to tie it. Can't remember. Either way, they missed it, and then they kick a last-second field goal to tie things up, and you go to overtime, and then they decide to go for it on 4th down to try and go for the win over Texas. So really, they just made some mistakes happen, and then some dumb play calls happen that led to Kansas State's demise. They could have beat this Texas team. They totally could have. But instead, they lose, which should have been expected. Texas stays a 1-loss team. Kansas State is improving, and they are a pretty solid team, but they've lost to the teams that they can't lose to, like Oklahoma State and Texas. And yeah, so just a really good win for Texas. A&M at Ole Miss. I just want to say, I've already talked about some of these games in my previous videos, so it's kind of hard for me to, I'm trying not to repeat myself. But A&M, I said they would not be able to travel into Ole Miss and do what they do and do, crazy damage. But, because I was like, Ole Miss has got to put a team away. I was like, Ole Miss has got to put a team away as a top 10 team. They've got to put somebody away. They've got to show some more strength, and they just didn't. A&M loses this game off of a missed last-second field goal to send it into overtime. Now, obviously, anything can happen in that overtime. But the thing is we'll never be able to see because A&M just missed a field goal. So Ole Miss, I don't want to say lucked out, but also kind of lucked out. I mean, it's always a luck out if they miss the field goal. But Ole Miss avoids overtime. And right now they just don't look like a top 10 team. This is the third week, or not third week in a row. If we skip Vanderbilt game, which is completely reasonable, I feel like everybody can be on the same page that the Vanderbilt week is pretty much a bye week. If we go past the Vanderbilt week, it's been 3 extremely close games. Against Arkansas, it was a 7-point game. Against Auburn, it was a 7-point game. And then against A&M, it was a 3-point game. And this team's got to go on the road to Georgia, which will most likely get College game day. I have a feeling it's going to be the worst game day this year. I think Ole Miss might just get absolutely blown out of this world. So yeah, that's all I got to say about this game. Notre Dame at Clemson. I kind of got this score like flipped. I said Clemson was not to be slept on. I said it. And I wanted to favor them, but I said I think Notre Dame is a pretty good team still, and they'll be able to get it done. Well, I was wrong. Notre Dame loses their third game. It's at Clemson. Clemson picks up their best win of the year. I do think this team kind of just caught a crappy break, but I also do think this team is pretty evenly matched up with a lot of their opponents. The thing is their losses come on the road at Duke to open the season. We did not know that Duke team was going to be that good. If I'm being so real right now, if that Duke team was as healthy and as ready as they were at the start of the season, if they were the same status as they were in that starting game right now, they could probably be a one-loss team and or undefeated. The thing is Riley Leonard's taken some injuries and whatnot, and yeah. I mean, the thing was for me is that Duke clobbered Clemson. Notre Dame went on the road to Duke and won, so it's kind of like, in theory, Notre Dame should win at Clemson, but somehow Clemson beats them. It's just that theory never works. It never plays out. There's too much other factors that happen, but I mean, Clemson's pretty well leveled with like the strong, just missing out on the championship teams. There's teams like NC State, Duke. I don't really want to say North Carolina, but I guess North Carolina, they fit right in with that area. Those are some of the strong teams that every game you got to look out for and whatnot. They'll do some scary stuff. Those are the teams. And then, of course, you got your leaders being Louisville and Florida State. So Clemson fits right into that category. And at the beginning of the season, I mean, this was one of the 3 games Notre Dame was like, this will be a loss, and it stayed true to its name. It pulled through. UConn at Tennessee. Why is Tennessee playing UConn in the middle of the year? Funny enough, this annihilation of UConn will get Tennessee put up 4 or 5 spots in the polls for beating UConn at Tennessee. It's like, all right, dude, whatever. Nothing to be said there. Stupid game. Oh boy. And man, I was not ready for this. Waking up at 10:30, I'm like, all right, I missed some of the start of the games because I'm sleepy, but now my Sun Devils are on. Let's get down to work. I said it was going to be a low-scoring defensive battle. Getting into the game, heard there were like 3 or 4 more Sun Devil injuries or something. I was like, minor setback. We're chilling. It's on the road. It could be a little bit worse than I think it is. Oh, my gosh. It's really bad. I mean, seriously, if you watched this game from start to finish, which I know a lot of people probably didn't because of the score, but I pretty much watched this game from start to finish. I had to turn it off a couple times, but of course, I would peek at it sometimes, see if AC was doing anything at all. And I mean, dude, our ASU season is just like the most comedic thing ever. And it's not even just because it's not comedic because we're bad. It's comedic because of how unlucky we are. I mean, on the first drive of the game, our starting quarterback gets sacked from behind. This is unrelated, but he gets sacked from behind after he threw the ball, and it was like 2 seconds. It's like 1.5 seconds or something, and then the dude tackles him, and like hits him in his ankle wrong, and if ASU did that to Michael Penix, which I literally proved in one of my videos, it gets called a penalty and the stadium goes wild. But when it happens to ASU, nobody says a damn word. It's unrelated, but I thought I just might have pointed out, as Pac-12 officiating is really just the worst. But Bourguet gets out on that play, comes back in later, plays a little bit, and then gets hit again and gets hurt again, and then he's out. And I don't think people realize, but we were on our fourth string quarterback playing football. We were on our fourth string quarterback. Not even that. Like, our fourth string quarterback was like limited to throws. Our running back was throwing deep passes and stuff. Like, we were out of options. They were saying Jalen Conyers, our tight end, he played quarterback in sophomore year of high school. He might step in. It's like, this shouldn't even be a situation. This shouldn't even be happening. As well as we also had a starting defensive lineman get out in like the first quarter of football against Utah. And we also were missing some O-line pieces, which made it harder for anybody who tried playing quarterback. And the other thing is, like, well, people are like, all right, well, that's a whole lot of offense. The defense wasn't able to stop the run game. I'm going to say yes and no. Because, yes, Utah did definitely show that they could run the ball down our throats, and their offense was just annihilating us. But the other thing is that ASU, I mean, if you're just going to get the ball 1, 2, 3 punt and give the ball right back to Utah, I mean, how does Utah not score a bunch of points? Like, ASU just keeps feeding them possession after possession after possession. I personally think ASU's defense was, one, they were just absolutely worn out, and two, I think they were really demoralized. Like, they lost some really key components, and then, their offense was absolutely falling apart, and there's almost nothing we can do about it. I think ASU was hella demoralized. As well, it's not even like we're on our home stadium. We're on the road against a ranked team. So that's my justification for this game. Obviously, I'm not going to say ASU didn't get clobbered. We absolutely did. I'm just going to try and, open people's eyes a bit more before, like, the whole world jumps to a big fat conclusion. Like, ASU's been getting screwed this season with injuries, and it's nothing but fact. Army at Air Force. This one kind of sucks. Like, really, Air Force? This was my prediction. And, I mean, talk about turnover fest. I don't remember, like, how many weeks ago specifically, but a couple weeks ago I was saying the big teams are all falling because of turnovers, because every single ranked team that was losing and getting upset had like 8 turnovers, whether it be actual turnovers or turnovers on downs. And, I mean, it struck again. Air Force just kept turning the ball over on downs, fumbles, and whatnot. And, I mean, of course, you're not going to beat Army doing that, man. You're just not going to, and it showed. Air Force is knocked out of the top 25. It really sucks because this was like a must-win for Army. This was a humongous upset for Army too. They were like 2-6 in this game. Biggest upset, probably one of the biggest upsets in their program's history. But yeah, so I don't really know what happened there. Oklahoma at Oklahoma State. Oh man, this one made me so happy because, I mean, another thing going back to ASU. ASU has had to play Oklahoma State, who is now ranked at number 15, Fresno State, who is currently receiving votes and has been in the top 25 already, Washington, USC, and Utah. And I think that's all of the ranked opponents. UCLA is not ranked anymore, so we would have to play them on the road. Then we host Oregon, which, oh my God, I'm so not ready for that Saturday. And then we host U of A, and I'm honestly not ready for that day either. So, yeah, I'm like, look at ASU's schedule, man. Look at how screwed they've been, and of course they're going to go 2-10, man. honestly. But this was my prediction for the game. Oklahoma would lose by 3 in a massive shootout classic forever. It was. It really was. Just not a shootout. It was a classic, memorable, fun game. Really interesting, but it really wasn't a high scoring game because these teams decided to turn the ball over today. Or not today, but when they played. Oklahoma State kept going for fourth downs and not getting them. Oklahoma was just turning the ball over on stupid, silly plays. I'm still happy Oklahoma State won this, but I am kind of pissed off as to how Oklahoma played because it's like these teams, man, I watch how they play against certain teams. I'm like, dude, they're really freaking good. That's a really solid team. And then they go around and they start playing like crap. I mean, Oklahoma's on a 2-game losing streak at Kansas, at Oklahoma State. More reason of why the road games are just absolute killers this year. But, yeah, it's just like you think one thing. I mean, that Washington State has made me so mad with how they have just flopped. I had that team ranked at number 10, man. I really thought they were going to be good this year. And then from how they played against Oregon State, and then they just fell apart. Missouri at Georgia. This one was fun. So I'm not able to watch CBS on TV and stuff because, I use what's called Sling, or I guess it would be Apple TV. So it's like sign in with your TV provider. We don't necessarily have that. So I can't get CBS or anything, can't pay for it if I want to. But I can just look up on YouTube Missouri versus Georgia, and there's like 17 live streams that are just showing it. So, and honestly, it only happens with the CBS ones. The rest of them are just like never there. It's only the CBS one. So I did that, watch this game. I was so happy I was able to watch this game because it was so interesting. And it was a great game, man. But Brady Cook, for the second time this year, he's just failed to be a clutch quarterback. This was my prediction. I said, Missouri was going to stun some people, putting up more fight than we thought, but ultimately Georgia would win because they're just the better team and they got the home field, which was true, but closer. Missouri really did. They really showed some fight against a strong Georgia team. Let me tell you something. Whoever number 84 is, he's a dog. He's crazy. But Missouri, that drive to make it like what? 21 points, I think it was. That drive was like right down the field. I was like, holy Missouri, holy. And yeah, I mean, Missouri's a really good team this year, dude. But again, their loss against LSU, they've got they got the ball at 39 seconds left. They're like, all right, let's drive down the field, and Brady Cook throws one of the worst pick sixes I've ever seen. And then in this game, it's 27-21, and he throws a pick right to the defensive person, and then he takes it all the way. They kick a field goal, and then he launches a ball that even the announcers were like, dude, why did he throw this? He should have never thrown this. Throws it down the field, it gets picked off, and Georgia seals the win. So Brady Cook in clutch positions is not your guy. But other than that, man, he is a pretty good quarterback. Missouri is a really good team, man. Like, they are for real. They should not be slept on, even though they're 2 losses now. FSU at Pitt. This one took a while to kick off. I said FSU would, dominate, but Pitt would kind of scare because that's what they like to do for some reason. It was, but lower scoring. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention to this one much until, I realized it was, close, but it was really boring, so it was hard to watch. But FSU finally started to put together things, and I think once they scored the touchdown to go up 24-7, I remember just them showing the fans leaving the stadium, and I was like, damn, dude, if I'm a Pitt fan, bro, I'm fuming on the sidelines watching my players or watching my fans just leave the field like that. Oh, that had me so mad. I would get ejected for targeting Jordan Travis, bro. That would have me fuming. But FSU, FSU handles things. They're really solid, honestly. I don't want to say underrated because they're number 4. People do respect this team, but I do think they are, they could potentially make the Natty. They're probably one of my favorites to make the Natty. Penn State at Maryland. Oh, boy. So, a lot of my predictions this week have been pretty solid. And I'm like, oh, I'm doing pretty good. And then I go ahead and scroll through the games. I'm like, let's see. Oh, yeah, that's a pretty good prediction. Yeah, that's good. Oh, my God. What the hell just happened at Maryland, man? Penn State, I said they were going to lose. And hey, man, don't get me wrong. In the third quarter, with 10 minutes left, it's 21-7. It is totally, totally, totally doable, man. It's totally doable. But Maryland had one thing lacking, and it was complete and utter offense. Penn State scored a touchdown, go up 31-7. Game is probably over. But then they scored a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, make it 31-15. If they can manage to score 2 more touchdowns, 2 more 2-point conversions, this game's all tied up. But then Penn State scores a touchdown right on the next drive. Then they kick a field goal. Then they kick another field goal, and then they score another touchdown. With a minute 25 left, which is kind of odd. Why would they score that late? But I think it is because Maryland turned the ball over, probably on their side of the field. And this is the best we've seen Penn State play in a while. It's nothing spectacular and special, but one thing is for sure, it's a road game, and it was tough, and they clutched up. They were 7 for 15 on third down efficiency, just under 50%, but they were 3 for 3 on fourth down efficiency. I don't necessarily like that play calling, but in this game, it worked out very well. They had 404 total yards of offense, but 76 yards of penalties and 7 penalties, but they had no turnovers. This Penn State did not give away any possessions. Of course, I guess not counting punts. But Maryland, on the other hand, they were 4 for 12. Oh, one more thing to account for Penn State. They had 26 first downs. Maryland had 16 first downs. They were 4 for 12 on third down efficiency, 0 for 1 on fourth down efficiency, which would probably, I can only assume, come in the fourth quarter. But if not, that's just stupid by them. They had 234 yards of total offense, and here's why the game was so low scoring. Here's the final score, by the way. I'll show that. Here's why the game was so bad for Maryland, so low scoring. Total yards, they have 234 yards of just offense. But they have 283 yards passing. Oh, that's weird. So their total yards is lower than their passing? Yeah, because they had negative 49 rushing yards. Penn State absolutely locked up the run game. And not only that, Maryland had 45 yards of penalties and 4 penalties. And they had 4 turnovers. Penn State had 37 minutes of possession time. Maryland had 22. And honestly, that's also a huge factor that I don't feel like enough people account for is possession time in a game is very, very important. Their running back, I don't even know if this dude's the starter. He might literally be like the 3rd string or 4th string. He's, it looks like he's a quarterback. He's not even the running back. Billy Edwards Jr., number 9 QB, sophomore, 6'4", 219 pounds. He 2023 season stats, he's got 2 yards, 0 touchdowns, and a pick. So don't really know what happened there. But, of course, Tua's brother had a great game. I want to say great game, but also not great game. Tua must have gotten taken, or Tua's brother must have gotten taken out, because he was 29 for 39, 286 yards, which is literally all of their passing yards. 2 touchdowns and a pick, but if you look, there's 2 picks. So he must have gotten taken out. Drew Aller, on the other hand, was 25 for 34, 240 yards, but 4 touchdowns. I don't know what his name is. Katron Allen, 14 carries, 91 yards, a touchdown. K. Lambert Smith, of course, was the leading receiver. Penn State dominated a crumbling Maryland team. I mean, that is just horrific offensive rushing performance. Maryland, they're not what I thought they would be this year. I thought they would be good, but they're just not. Virginia Tech at Louisville, we're not going to talk about this one much because this went exactly how I expected it. I said 7-35. It was 3-34. Exactly how we expected it. Tulane at East Carolina. This one was kind of wild. I actually have to look at the stats of this one to figure out why. So East Carolina gets up 10-0 in the first quarter. In the first quarter, here was my prediction. I said they'd kill them because keep in mind, this East Carolina team is 1-7 going into this game. Yes, it's a road game, but they're 1-7. So I said they'd kill them. Final score turns out to be 13-10 with Tulane getting the victory. But East Carolina gets up 10-0 in the first quarter. 10-0 in the first quarter, which means they went silent the rest of the game. Props to the Tulane defense. Second quarter, they score a touchdown. Tulane scores a touchdown. 9-yard pass from Michael Pratt. And then they kick a field goal before half to tie things up 10-10. And then in the fourth quarter, at the start of it, they kick a field goal to go up 13-10, and that's it. That's all we saw. 3 points in the entire second half. And I don't even know how Tulane didn't score more. I don't know. They 8 for 16 on third down efficiency, 20 first downs, 2 for 3 on third down efficiencies or fourth down efficiency. So they gave one possession away, but they didn't turn the ball over on normal turnovers. They had 368 yards of offense and 38 minutes of possession time. And they had 63 yards of penalties and 7 penalties, which could have potentially killed possessions. But, 368 yards of offense, and you're only putting up 13 points? I got to go play-by-play. There must have been, a bunch of missed points or something. Downs, punt, field goal, punt, missed field goal by Tulane. Field goal, punt, touchdown, punt, downs, punt, or no, downs, touchdown, East Carolina. Wait, no, I'm going the wrong direction. Okay, field goal, punt. All right, we're talking in terms of East Carolina here. So it's the first team I'm saying is East Carolina, and then when it's going to swap between the two. So when I say field goal, that means East Carolina, and then when I say punt, it's going to go to Tulane. It switches off each time. So field goal, punt, touchdown, downs, punt, touchdown, punt, field goal. Now we're on to Tulane. It's swapped. Missed field goal, punt, field goal, punt, downs, end of game. So I guess they missed a field goal. They should have been up 16-10. I don't really get it, man. I don't know what. I couldn't even tell you guys. I'm actually I'm stumped. I don't even know what happened in this game. What a shit show, honestly. We're skipping it. Screw that. I'm not talking about that game anymore. Cal at Oregon. You know what I kind of was thinking about when I was making this? Well, first off, here's my prediction. I said they'd destroy them in the same fashion they've been destroying the small schools. They obliterated Cal. But you want to know what's kind of for me, it's kind of like a little bit of foreshadowing. So Cal plays USC to a 1-point game, 50-49. Oregon gets Cal and absolutely shoves them in the dirt and pees on them. Is that a little bit of foreshadowing to USC? USC performs well against Washington, but are they going to perform well against Oregon? They've got to go on the road at Oregon. I have a feeling that could just be an annihilation. Seriously. Oregon's favored by 14.5. I think it might be worse. I don't know if Caleb Williams is going to be able to operate on the Oregon defense. I don't really know if he is. Truly, if USC and Cal was in that close of a matchup and then, Oregon just absolutely held up Cal like that, 63-19, I'm scared for USC. It's the only major takeaway I got from this game. Is it like foreshadowing or something? I don't know. Kansas at Iowa State. I called for the upset and another massive shootout. Listen, the reason why I called all these Big 12 matches massive shootouts was because recently that's all they have been. They've been really big-time shootouts, but this week they just decided, let's not be a really big shootout. Well, Kansas ends up beating Iowa State 28-21, which is good for Kansas. I actually root for that. I wasn't necessarily wanting Iowa State to win. I just got to stay real with my predictions sometimes. But Kansas was honestly up pretty big in this game. They were up 21-3 in the third quarter. But then Iowa State started to make a comeback. But with 7 minutes and 51 seconds, an 80-yard touchdown pass from Jason Bean. I don't know if it was like a screen pass or if it was an actual deep bomb or something, would give them a 10-point lead. And then Iowa State would kick a field goal, make it a 7-point game, and that's it. So Iowa State is a pretty scary team right now. They're a pretty scary team that could pull off an upset. They get to host Texas, which could be scary, but they're on the road at Kansas State, might not be that scary. But the problem about being against Texas is they'll have Quinn Ewers back by then, so they'll definitely kick it into overdrive. Unless Iowa State can get some major turnover time there, I don't think Iowa State's gonna be able to beat them. They'll probably finish 6-6, but there's still major improvement for this Cyclones team. I mean, hey, they were what, like a 3-win team, 2-win team last year? It's a pretty big turnaround for the program. Washington at USC. Now, some of y'all predicted that USC would win this game, and I honestly, at first, I was like, no, you guys are crazy. And then I was like, actually, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised. By the way, Washington has been playing recently. They've been really sketchy, I'd say, defensively. Of course, the game where that doesn't show is against ASU, but screw that game. I feel like it shouldn't even count on Washington's resume anymore. Any game against ASU is just like a void game. Fuck it. No one cares about it. But then they go on the road to Stanford and they win basically because the Stanford dude dropped the pass. And then they played this game in a massive shootout, as well as the Oregon game was also a shootout. But this was my prediction. I also, in my predictions video, had it flipped. I actually remember to flip it, so thank me later, please. This was my prediction. It was 52-24. I thought Washington was just going to lock this team up, but they just didn't do it as much as I wanted them to. And, dude, I mean, the final score is honestly kind of lower than I thought it would be, really. I mean, going into halftime, y'all, the score was 35-28. I'd almost think more points would be scored in the second half, but it looks like things really slowed down. USC failed to operate in the fourth quarter, and with a 1-yard touchdown run by Washington in the fourth quarter, it put it away. And Washington, I'd say, I don't want to say underrated win, but I do want to say underrated win because USC's losses, I mean, yes, they take a last-second loss against Utah, but let's be real. Utah got up pretty big in that game. So, honestly, if USC would have performed better and they were also favored, and if their defense would have performed better, if USC would have been better in that game, they could have definitely beat them. But I feel like in the games where USC's not favored, they play in the games USC's not favored. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. In the games USC's not favored in, they played better. That obviously doesn't sound true for the Notre Dame game, but we expected that on the road at a solid Notre Dame team. No way, Jose. But like this one, against Washington, they did perform better. And the reason why I say they perform worse when they're projected to win is because against ASU, on the road at ASU, I know I just said games don't count there, but dude, they were favored by so much going into this game. If I could find how much they were favored by, dude, I literally think they took it down. I think they literally took the line down. Holy shit. That is wild. It's normally right here. That's crazy. I think they took it down from how bad it was. The line was like 28.5 or something for USC. It turns out to be a 14-point game. Then they go on the road to Colorado. In the game, they were dominating, but then turns out to be a 7-point game. Then they go into triple overtime with U of A, and then they lose at Notre Dame, and then they lose to Utah. So it's like in the games they're favored in, a lot of them seem to be worse. They turn out to be worse. Yeah, see, when I go to the Notre Dame game, it tells me the line in the over-under, and the ASU one, it doesn't tell me that. That's wild. And the line for Notre Dame was only 3.5. I mean, come on now. So I think USC probably performs better when they're the underdog. Now that they're 3-loss, they're playing for nothing, but you know what? Let's just fucking upset some teams. And Caleb Williams is a really good quarterback. He can perform some magic, and he's obviously got to upgrade his draft stock, so yeah. LSU at Bama. Oh boy, we're not even close. I thought I was getting to the end here. LSU at Bama. This was another game on CBS that I literally. Here's what I searched up on YouTube. I searched up LAU because I mistyped LAU space Bama, and like 7 live streams popped up for it. I'm like, okay, this is how I gotta watch these games. I didn't mind, but dude, definitely very nice because it really sucks not being able to watch those games, but now I am. I said LSU would win this one. I really thought Jaden Daniels was like he's been performing great, putting up extraordinary numbers, and I didn't think Jalen Milroe was consistent enough to win. But Jaden Daniels got taken out, and ultimately LSU's defense couldn't stop Jalen Milroe. He had like a record high of 4 rushing touchdowns. I'm sorry, dude, but like 4 rushing touchdowns, bro. Throw the ball, man. Like, I know Jaden Daniels runs a lot, but Jalen Milroe runs a lot. Jalen Milroe can really, I mean, from what we've seen, he really can turn into something good. As long as that kid stays healthy, I say he's got a very bright future. He's already the starting quarterback of Alabama. I don't know what year he is, if he's a freshman or whatnot. I doubt he's a freshman. He's probably like a junior or something. But it's his first time starting or something like that. I don't know. He's a new quarterback for Alabama. But look at the way Jaden Daniels has turned out. Jaden Daniels, he has the ability to throw the deep ball, but he's also dual threat, and he's in the Heisman race. Jalen Milroe's just like Jaden Daniels, but a couple years before, except Jalen Milroe has enhanced it, and he's on a better team, a better program. So, I mean, he could definitely evolve into something great, so that'll be pretty interesting. Oregon State at Colorado. I said it'd be closer than people like it to be. It was, but Beavers kind of dominated. There was a time where the score was 23-5. I already said Wacky score in another video, but I'll say it again. Wacky score. Colorado blocked an extra point or something, took it to the crib. Give them 2 points. I thought it was a safety. Who am I kidding? You think Colorado's defense is getting any points? Yeah, right, bud. But Oregon State ends up winning here, as expected. Oh, wait, I think I did this wrong. I think it's 26-19. Wait. I need to open up ESPN. I think it's 26-19, y'all. I might have hit y'all with the wrong final score. I might have gone stupid dumb mode. Let's see. Yes, final score is 26-19. I'm sorry. It's a 7-point game, not a 13-point game. Sorry about that. I reversed it. My bad. Bro, holy shit. I ain't even gonna lie, the spots on this head looked like a baby smiling at me. Sorry for the creepiness in the middle of the video, but that scared the Dickertons off me. UCLA, Arizona. All right, now we're on to our last game. I said U of A would win it again, pulling out their second upset win, getting ranked. Been talking pretty highly of this U of A team, and I don't think people really respect this U of A team for what they actually are. It really sucks that they lost that USC game, though, because if they could have won that, they'd be a one-loss team in the conference, right up in that Pac-12 championship conversation, probably pretty highly ranked right now. But they take down UCLA. UCLA looked awful in this game. I mean, they looked horrific. Granted, their quarterback did get knocked out, and then the other quarterback, I believe, got knocked out. But they weren't doing anything against U of A anyways. I mean, U of A was kicking their ass. They made it look easy, which is scary because ASU's got to go on the road to UCLA. Oh, man, ASU versus U of A is going to be a hard game, y'all. But that's the last game of the week. I hope you guys enjoyed. A like and subscribe would help. A comment always helps, and that's all for me. Adios.